Hello, me again. I've just made a recording on touch, and this is sort of moving on from that to the personal touch, as in interpersonal rather than actual just physical touching. I don't know about you, but I really miss having that personal touch. I can remember going round to the grocer's shop for my mum, and it was always hello, welcoming you by name, and you could welcome the person, say hello to the person, including their name. And if there was anybody else in the shop, you would know them and you could have a little chat. And I had a little group of corner shops just round the corner from where I lived. And one of them was a greengrocer's. And she knew that I used to like to buy my mum flowers. And when it was coming home from school time, if she'd got a new delivery of flowers in, she would knock on the window and come to the door. We've got some flowers that your mum will like. And I said, oh, I'll go and get my money. I'll go and get my spends. She said, no, take them. I said, no. And I always had to go and get the money and go back and pay her before I would take them. Yeah, that's always sort of been the way I was brought up and the way that I've been since. I suppose never a borrower bee. I'd not sort of thought of that link until I said that. But that personal touch, the fact that she had thought about that and thought, oh, yes, Denise will like these for her mum. All right, it was a sale for her, but presumably the flowers would have sold anyway. But she knew that she was giving pleasure to somebody else. And we rarely find that these days in the supermarkets. If you're lucky enough to use a store where there is always the same person at the counter, then you probably will know them, and that will be a taste of how it used to be. But I think the most outstanding example was way back when I would be about 10 or 11, so over 60 years ago, my giddy aunt. I wish I hadn't thought of that. And my grandparents had an ex-Welsh miner living with them, Uncle Tom. And I honestly can't remember when he moved in with them or how long he lived there, but he was just part of the family. I think that he had had an accident in the pit and wasn't able to work down the mines any longer. But why he ended up in Manchester instead of South Wales, I don't know. Anyway, sadly, Uncle Tom was very poorly. And my dad had phoned one of his sisters, he had two sisters, I believe, down in South Wales, and said, you know, you really need to get up here as soon as you can. Just let me know when you'll be arriving and I'll drive into Manchester and collect you from the station. Right. Anyway, they obviously quickly packed a bag and forgot about letting my dad know. So he phoned and no reply. So working on the assumption that they had left, he phoned the railway station at Port Talbot and said, could you tell me the times of trains that might have left to get to Manchester today? So the person was saying, well, there could be this one, and that would be a connection at such a place. And it wasn't really narrowing things down very much. And then the person on the other end said, well, could you tell me why you want to know? So Dad explained, and he said, oh, you should have said that straight away. It's, and named these two ladies. Yes, they got on such a train. They'll be changing at wherever, and they'll get to Manchester Piccadilly at a certain time. Can you imagine phoning a station and saying, could you tell me what time Fred Bloggs got on the train? Yeah, this world of ours has certainly changed in many ways. And for me, changes like that, taking away that personal touch, that's a big negative. And certainly neighbours, we always used to know our neighbours. Maybe that's a British thing that I know some of them, but not all of them. The lady who lived next door to us, she always knew if Mum had a migraine, which unfortunately used to happen way too often. And she would be watching for me coming home from school. Come in here, I'll give you your tea and you can wait here till your dad gets home. And your mum's not well. It was just lovely. Except I do remember once she'd made potato pie. Good old Lancashire dish, which is actually meat, potato and carrot very often in with it as well, with a pastry crust. And she said, oh, do you like potato pie? I said, oh, yes, I do. Anyway, after the meal, she said, was that nice? Was that okay? And apparently it's gone in and stuck in. I said to her, yes, but it wasn't as nice as my mummy's. Out of the mouths of babes, sucklings and children, I guess I was telling the truth. But on another occasion, she was using one of the good old-fashioned pressure cookers, and it burst, and the contents ended up on the ceiling, dripping down everywhere. Yeah, it could be quite eventful going next door. But part of that personal touch. I hope that you are fortunate and you have people that still have a personal touch with you, even if it's only saying, hello, how are you? Hope you're well, and listening to your reply. I'm lucky in having some people like that, but I know that many just don't get to see anybody, and that's such a shame. On that note, I will say thank you. I've just realised I've been sitting smoothing my bracelets with both hands. Okay, take care and take very good care of yourself, the best that you can. Bye for now. I'll speak soon. Bye.